Hey everybody, it's the year is 1999. Now, a while back, I made a video. No, hey everybody, it's the year is 1999. Now, a while back, I made a video all about my favorite cantrips, and I figured that I would follow that up today with my favorite first level spells. Now, for this list, it's not going to be the objectively best first level spells of D&D 5th edition, but rather instead I considered both mechanical advantages and my own just experience with the spells to determine which ones I liked. With that disclaimer out of the way, let's dive right in. Number 10 is going to be the Featherfall. Now, how many times has it happened to you that you're up on some high platform and someone just tried to knock you off? Or perhaps, your lackey activated the wrong trapdoor, sending you into a gator pit.
To the secret lab. Pull the lever, Crunk. Wrong lever! Why do we even have that lever?
Well, now we've all been there. But with Featherfall, it won't be a problem. Well, I suppose the gators will still be, but not the fall itself, and that's what's important. What's more is that this can work up to 5 creatures, meaning that if the party needs to quickly get to ground level, you can just jump. No staircase is necessary. Actually, for a bit of a fun anecdote, I run a group with some players from the Super Carlin Brothers Discord, and at one point early on, they had to jump off of a train to collect an asset that had fallen off, and they all hit the ground pretty hard. Afterwards, I asked the wizard whether or not they had the Featherfall spell. Turns out they did, but by that point it was of course too late. I mean, I hope that the party learned to look before they leap. Maybe they did. Probably not, but a dungeon master can hope that the party learns from their mistakes. Now, number 9 is going to be Floating Disc. With this spell, you can magically create a disc to carry your gear around with. Let's say that your carriage breaks down or you find a really heavy treasure chest, you could just plop your chest on this disc and have it follow you around. If you want to, you can even cart around other people with it, but since it only moves to follow you, you can't ride the disc yourself. I guess if the party only has one horse, you could be on the disc and then everyone else follows you on it. And with that said, since it's a ritual spell and doesn't require concentration, you could have several of these going at once. Now, number 8, it's going to be Ice Knife. With this spell, you'll launch a shard of ice at a target up to 20 yards away, and then it shatters on impact so you can hit multiple targets. Just a reminder with this spell, if you're going to use it, is that since it's an AoE, it can hit, your own allies. I had this stipulation because the wizard in that SCB D&D group likes to use this spell, and one time it hit the monk. I assume it was an accident, but who knows? Number 7 is going to be Unseen Servant. As you can tell, there's clearly an Unseen Servant on the screen right now. That took me a very long time to animate, so I hope that you guys all appreciate it. Now, I think that this is a rather underrated spell, not underwater spell. Okay, for some reason in my script, I'd put underwater spell instead of underrated. I guess you could use this spell underwater. Anyway, I digress. What I mean by underrated is that people don't use it very much, but it's still very useful. I mean, while it might not have much in the way of direct combat support, here's some things you could do with it. It could hand out potions to everyone in the party. It could hold doors open for you. It could prepare you a sandwich. Or, if you wanted, it could open up a chest that you think might be trapped to see if there are any traps in there. I actually have a bit of a fun story for this spell that's not SCB related. One time I was running the Mad Manor of Astabar module for a scout group, and in that module there is a room that shrinks down whoever enters it. The room has a MacGuffin in a chest that's needed to complete the quest of the module, and after some failed attempts to, get in the chest directly, the warlock has the bright idea to cast Unseen Servant. Now, since this servant doesn't really have a size or shape, it can't be shrunk. So it was just able to pull the chest out for them, and they carried on exploring the manor. That was fun. Now, number 6. This is going to be Catapult. With Catapult, you can launch a small object at a creature at high speed. Now, while at first this might just seem to be a regular attacking spell, it's so much more than that. I mean, sure, you can use it to throw stuff at people, but you can also use it to throw things away from people. Let's say a dark wizard's about to grab an artifact, just yeet it away from him. Alternatively, you could catapult a bag of coins towards your ally, although hopefully not directly at them, just near them. Okay, so this actually reminds me. One time, I was running a one-shot, and the party was helping out the clergy of a local temple because some bodies were being stolen from their graveyard. Now, they found the necromancer who was doing this, and they decided that they wanted to get the drop on him. The rogue said that he was going to throw his knife, and the wizard asked if he could tack on the catapult spell. Now, rules as written, this isn't quite how that would work, but since they weren't exactly in combat yet, and it was really cool, I decided to let it happen. This means that they could add the 1d4 from the knife, 1d6 from sneak attack, and 3d8 from the spell. Good times. They won that battle, by the way. Pew. Now, number 5 is going to be Burning Hands. With this spell, you shoot out a cone of flame from your hands. This could be really useful if you know a horde of foes is charging towards you, but it can also be used to set things ablaze. Let's say you're strolling along one day, come across an old wooden shed. Farmer who owns it says it needs to be torn down, offers you 5 silver for the job. With this spell, you can just burn it up and be able to make it to the market before lunchtime. And speaking of burning hands, though, at one point, a different group for the Mad Manor of Astabar decided to use it to try to solve the shrinking room puzzle. For reasons that I could not then, nor now, figure out, the wizard thought that it would be a good idea to just burn down the chest. First, he scales up the side of it, and for context, relative to him, this chest is like 60 feet tall at this point. And I tell him, hey dude, if you fall, your character will probably die. But, of course, he passes all of his checks necessary to climb up there. And then, uses burning hands to set it on fire. And in case you were wondering, no, this fire did not kill him. No, this fire did not help them collect the contents of the chest either, though. Yeah, but it worked, I guess. Number 4 is going to be Comprehend Languages. With this spell, you can understand the language of anything you read or hear for an entire hour. Now, at first, this spell may not seem all that useful since it doesn't let you speak the language, but there's still a lot you can do with it. My first thought is that it could let you read any book or inscription. If you got an elven potion recipe or dwarven crafting guide, just cast this spell. Or maybe you intercept a letter that you find on someone's body, then you can still read it. You can use this if people are talking nearby in a foreign tongue. Let's say you're captured and the guards are talking about you in Goblin. Now you can know what they say. On the other hand, if you think that you're being eavesdropped on, the party with the most obscure language could speak in this while everyone listens in with the spell. Since it's a non-concentration ritual, multiple people can be under its effect at once. And if you want to know more about boosting language comprehension, did a whole video on that back in January that I will link to below.
I don't speak any other languages. I have friends that speak Spanish and French and Portuguese. I don't care. I speak English, the language Jesus spoke. At least he did in the movie I watched.
Now, number 3 is going to be Healing Word. Using this amazing spell, you can heal people from 60 feet away as a bonus action. For context, most player races have a walking speed of 60. This means that you can just first aid someone who's, up to 2 turns away based on walking. And since any healing can bring you back from dying, this means you can keep your distance while still maintaining the heavy hitters. Then just Sacred Flame whatever struck them down to begin with. In fact, this spell is so powerful that's caused a fair bit of contention in the community. Taking 20, for example, did a video to talk about the spell and offering some nerfs. As it stands, though, it is admittedly pretty powerful. Just, speak a holy word and heal people. Where have I heard that before? Oh, right!
Our Lord Jesus said something very similar.
Number 2. Magic Missile. With this spell, you launch 3 darts to attack your foes for 1d4 plus 1 damage. Now, at first, you might be a bit turned off because that's a lot less than other first level spells, but it's a trade-off because it doesn't require an attack roll. It's just instant damage against whichever targets you specify. This can be great to use against something that maybe has a high AC but low health. and also with a 120-foot range, lets you keep your distance while still maintaining a ballistic position. I highly recommend you consider this spell for any wizard/sorcerer build. You know, I've got a feeling that the comments are going to have at me for not making Magic Missile number 1, but I believe that there's at least a slightly better spell. Before I say what it is, though, I want to give a quick honorable mention to Purify Food and Drink. It, as you can imagine, lets you de-poison any food/drink. And while that effect in and of itself is useful, my main interest is how the Warforged Cleric Life uses it in my Super Carlin Brothers D&D campaign. Twice now, he has used it to clean a bottle of brandy so that it is no longer alcoholic. I mean, after all, alcohol is by definition poison. And I think that that's a brilliant use for the spell, and it fits in with him being, a literal heal bot. Speaking of healing, that brings me to number 1, Cure Wounds. With this spell, you touch a creature, heal back 1d8 plus spell mod. Now you might be thinking, so why is this so much better than Healing Word? Well, that's because it heals so much more. If you have at least a 16 for your spellcasting ability, which you should if you're a dedicated spellcaster, then this can let you heal back between 4 and 11 health at level 1. Considering the biggest hit die is the Barbarian's D12, this is a lot of healing. This spell also scales up really well. 1d8 per spell level lets it rival higher spells like Aura Vitality. If you have a support magic build, or even just an extra space for a class that can learn this, like Ranger, Druid, or Bard, I highly recommend taking this one. And that's all I have for today. So what do you guys think? Are there any spells on here that maybe I gave a little too much credit to? Are there any really good spells that I left off? Put your thoughts down in the comments section. If you want to check out some more from me, I've got a top 10 common magic items that fits in with this top 10 theme. And then, if you want, you can check out the Super Carlin Brothers D&D adventures. This is, the one involving that ice shooting wizard and the prohibitionist cleric. Having a lot of fun with that. Link to that below. And until then, I've been the Aries 1999. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Have a great day, and God bless.